Hey guys, DT Rockstar 1 here. General Motors has been toying with the idea of a mid-engine Corvette for more than half a century now. None of these cars ever saw past the concept car stage. They never went into production until now, because now they're teasing us with the C8 Corvette, which is indeed a mid-engine Corvette. So that is why General Motors has been teasing us with a lot of their old concept cars that were mid-engine. And some of those included the CERV I, CERV II, and CERV III that were at the 2018 Concours d'Elegance of America. So we're going to focus on those three today. The CERV III is a car that most of you are familiar with. It's been on magazine covers, it's been in video games, and it's just a beautiful design. But before we get into that, I want to go back to the beginning and explain what these cars are about and the history of them. Back in 1955, there was a horrible crash that happened at the 24 Hour of Le Mans involving a Mercedes. The car went airborne, crashed into the wall, and turned into a huge fireball, and it killed dozens of spectators and the driver. After that, there was they issued a racing ban on factory racing. General Motors was a part of this racing ban. They would not support any kind of factory racing. But the chief engineer at the time, Zora Arkus-Duntov, saw the benefits of racing on the brand. At the time, the Corvette was seen as just a pretty car that was all show and no go. And so Zora Duntov, he saw the benefits of it. He saw that racing would prove the critics wrong, that it was more than just a pretty car, that it actually had some performance potential. But because of the racing ban, they had to create a lot of these racing cars in secret. The most famous one they did was the Corvette Grand Sport, which, by the way, there was also one of those at the Concours d'Elegance. But the CERV I was one of the other mid-engine cars that they built in secret. And CERV stands for, or used to stand for, Chevrolet Experimental Racing Vehicle. Well, that didn't last very long because they realized that if they have the word racing in there, well, GM Corporate's going to find out that they're going racing and they're going to kill off the project. So pretty soon they changed it to Chevrolet Engineering Research Vehicle. That way it was less obvious and they're less likely of getting caught. Unfortunately, most of these projects did end up getting found out about, and GM Corporate ended up killing off the projects. But they did learn a lot about the engineering and the handling of these cars. If you look at CERV I, it looks like something that would go around the Indianapolis 500. It was mid-engine. Without any fluids, the dry weight, it was 1,450 pounds. And at one point had 500 horsepower. I believe it reached a average speed of about 206 miles per hour, and it is loud.
Anything because you work for me anyway.
Now CERV II That was another one. I don't know much about this car, unfortunately. And unfortunately, this one didn't start up because I think it was low on battery at the time. But that was another project that they did in secret, and unfortunately, it did get found out, and GM Corporate killed the project. Now, CERV III, this is the car that you're all familiar with. It debuted at the 1990 Detroit Auto Show, which really upsets me because the first year that I went to the Detroit Auto Show was 1991, the following year, so I missed out on seeing that, but at least it's not far from where I live. But this car was a technical marvel. Keep in mind, this was from 1990. It was made from carbon fiber, Nomex, and Kevlar. It had all-wheel drive, four-wheel steering, it had carbon fiber brakes, it had an active suspension done by Lotus. It was just a technical marvel. And it also had one of my favorite features, which was pop-up headlights. And look, it winked at me. The engine was the LT5, which is the same engine that you saw in the C4 Corvette ZR1. However, this one had a couple of turbos slapped to it. So it was the LT5 twin turbo. And so the result, instead of having 375 horsepower like the ZR1, this one had 650 horsepower. And the result was 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds and a top speed of 225 miles per hour. That's getting pretty close to McLaren F1 territory. Not quite, but that's getting pretty close. But unfortunately, again, this car was not meant to be as far as production goes because sources say it would have cost $300,000 to $400,000 to put into production. And that's not really a price that anybody wants to pay for a Corvette. And I think one thing that makes it special is the fact that it's the only one that was made. If I could go down to my local Chevy dealer and see a CERV III at all these Chevy dealers, it wouldn't feel special anymore. But the fact that it's the only one, seeing that car makes it very special to see, as well as the other CERV I and CERV II. And now look at this picture here. This is a sight to see. We've got the CERV III and a Bugatti Royale, which was also at the Concours d'Elegance. Now, for those of you who are interested, the Bugatti Royale is on permanent display at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. So definitely be sure to check that out because that is, I believe, one of 6 made. It's an incredible car. I really want to thank you guys all for your support and commenting and watching these videos. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up because it'll help me a lot. It'll help me bring more footage like this to you guys. I really want to share this passion with you guys. I really want to thank the guys from General Motors for helping me get all this footage and everybody involved. So this is DT Rockstar 1. Thank you very much for watching and we'll see you next time.